For many years now, we have read and lately had a slideshow display of all of the names that are recorded in our congregation's Book of Remembrance. There are 164 slides. On each slide are multiple names of people connected with current and former members of our congregation who were murdered in the Holocaust. One of the things that I've often thought as these names have gone scrolling by is that behind each one of these names is a story. As important as it is to remember their names, it's important for us, and it is an overwhelming task, of course, to remember their stories. We can't possibly remember in any one evening the stories of all of these people, all of whom we lived unique and valuable lives. But we have the opportunity tonight to hear a part of the story of one person connected with a member of our congregation who survived the Holocaust, who passed away recently, and who is, I think, an incredible example of a story that must be heard. So tonight we're going to depart from our usual custom of having soft instrumental music playing against the backdrop of the slides. I'm going to invite Rita Wein to come up and share a bit of her mother's testimony. Her mother, Phyllis Margules, again of blessed memory, just passed away very recently. And she had, like every survivor and like every person who lost their lives in the Holocaust, a unique and important story. I'd like you to hear a little bit of it today, as we are also remembering all those from our congregational family who died during the Holocaust.
I just want to say I'm not an academic, but I am a child of 2 Holocaust survivors. And I am going to read a testimonial that my mother gave to my daughter, Jacqueline Wein, and Jacqueline converted it into a diary. It reflects a day in a month in a year. So I'm going to begin with May 1944. I live in a small city of Berexhaz, Hungary. And it is told in the first person. I am almost 20 years old, and I work as an apprentice seamstress. My family consists of 8 brothers and sisters, me being the second oldest. I just earned enough money to buy a beautiful raincoat, kind of like an English trench coat. I love it and wear it everywhere, even though the weather is getting warmer. I am so proud of this raincoat, as it is my first purchase. The Passover holiday was just over, and my father's foreboding is haunting me. As we put away the Passover dishes, my father turned to me and said, "Who knows if we will ever use these dishes again?" But being a 20-year-old, I was concerned about learning a trade and hopefully getting married someday. On that fateful day, I was at home with my family when the Germans came up and rounded up all the Jews in the city. They locked up my house and we walked to an area where all the Jews gathered. It was an abandoned factory. I was given a yellow Star of David to wear. In fact, we all were to identify as Jews. 4 weeks have passed living in this horrible place, one room where the 10 of us sleep on the floor. I am not able to go out after 6 p.m. Otherwise, I will be shot. The Germans give us a little bit of food, meager rations, not enough for one, but we divide it into 10. There is much talk amongst the grown-ups of what will happen to all of us. Many of the mothers cry and wonder what will happen to their children. I still carry my beautiful raincoat. June 1944. It is June now, and 200 of us are gathered into one cattle car with no toilet facilities, no food, no air, no privacy. All I hear are the sounds of crying children, screaming babies, crying mothers, and the clickety-clack of the train. The sounds were driving me crazy. The sounds were driving everybody crazy. When is this train going to stop? For 4 days and 4 nights, the train kept going. I think the train is taking us into the wilderness where we will all be shot. Finally, the train did stop, and I arrived at a place called Auschwitz-Birkenau. It is daytime, and I hear music playing. My father said to me, "It can't be so bad here. There is music playing." I think he's saying this to comfort my mother and the rest of us. He then says, "On the other hand, they can't kill all of us because there must be one person alive to tell the horrors to the world." I get off the train along with my family and saw many soldiers called SS with whips and big dogs waiting for us. They shout, "Get out, dirty Jews." They tell us to get on the lines. My sister Rachel and I on one line to the right, and my mother with the small children on the left. My brothers and father were taken to other lines. I am screaming for my mother and father, only wanting to be with them. I wonder if I'll see them again, but I am hopeful. Rachel and I go with the other young women to a big kind of warehouse. There they shave our heads and take away our clothes. I struggle for my raincoat, the guards ripping it from my hands. I am given prison-striped uniform and wooden shoes. I miss my raincoat. They shaved our heads. I can't recognize my sister and my friends. We are all screaming and crying. I think I am going crazy. I am terrified. There is one woman among us who is a little older, a mother, around 42 or so. She comforts us by saying, "Don't cry, girls. If you have your head, your hair will grow back." July 1944. Life in the camp is unbearable. I sleep in a barrack on a crowded wooden platform. There are 7 or 8 of us who sleep together. No mattress, no blankets, just bare wooden or concrete floor. It is hot and stuffy. I feel there is no air here. I am hungry. There are no showers, no toilets, just latrines that you have to walk to. There is no plumbing, and the smell of human waste is terrible. I am tall and feel so cramped that I decide to sleep on the damp concrete floor so that my legs can stretch out. My legs really feel good now. I hear the Germans calling us to come out of the barracks to count us. I am waiting with my sister in line for them to tattoo me with a number. My number is 6191 and my sister is 6190. We are still together, but we haven't seen the rest of our family. I am hungry and tired and dirty and afraid of the German SS, their dogs, and what they will do to me. I am selected to work, and so is Rachel. We get up when it is still dark, around 4, standing in line to go to work. I ask the Jewish leaders of the barrack, "Where are my parents?" They pointed their fingers at the smoke coming from the giant chimneys. "Over there, look at the smoke from the chimneys. There are your parents," they said. The smell of burning flesh sting my eyes, and the tears just keep falling to the ground. I go to work building roads made out of cobblestones. There are just so many cobblestones. When will this end? August 1944. Every morning I go to work by truck with 2 SS men and 2 big dogs guarding us to another city along with about 50 other girls. The city is called Katowice. I can't believe my eyes. I see stores, normal people, shops filled with food, stores with clothing. I watch the German soldiers go into bakery shops, eating cookies and cake. I am starving. I am abnormal. My work is camouflaging German cannons. At the end of the day, after returning to Auschwitz, I stand in line to be counted once again, always counted, a number with a face, no name, no identity anymore. I get some food, a small loaf of bread to be shared by 5 of us, and a little watered-down soup. That is my breakfast, my lunch, my supper. I decide to save my bread for the morning. I hold it in my hands like it is made out of gold. While I sleep, I awaken and find it is gone. I begin to cry for that precious piece of bread. It is hot, and my sister is so sunburned and has a terrible toothache. I don't know what to do. I go over to a soldier, not an SS, but a regular soldier who appeared to be nice, and ask him to help my sister because she is in terrible pain. He replies, "Meet me tomorrow behind the barrack and I will pull her tooth out." The next day we do what he says, and with a pair of pliers, he pulls her tooth out. No medicine for pain. She is so grateful that he did it. The pain soon stops. September 1944. I am still here with my sister working in the city. Girls around me are dying of starvation and disease. I see new faces come and go. I believe I am no longer from this planet. I feel lost and abandoned. Time seems to never end. The other girls and I always talk of home, of the food we would eat on Shabbat, the cake, the bread. Home is always on my mind, my mother, my father, my brothers and sisters, the love we share. Every few days, men in medical uniforms would come to pick out the sick and weary and to send them to the gas chambers. By now, we all know that the sick and weak will be sent to their death. I am used to the pungent odor of flesh burning. The chimneys are always going, day and night. The smoke blocks the stars from shining. The water in the nearby lake is blackened with ash. Is God watching over us? Sometimes I think God cannot see, for all the smoke is blocking his view. But I must be strong as I remember my father's last words as we disembark the train. October 1944. My sister is not feeling very well. She has a rash all over her body, and I know they will separate us. What can I do? I don't want that to happen, so I begin to scratch my entire body so that I will go with her. The medical staff came to check us and started to hit and kick me because they knew I scratched my body and I'm not really sick. They just want to hurt us more by separating us. They are so mean, and my sister is taken away. I have no one now. I go back to work without my sister, back and forth, never ending. Day is like night and night is like day. The world is mixed up and I don't belong here. How can I go on without Rachel? Other girls are in the same boat as me. I am afraid to get too close to them, afraid they will be taken away and die. November 1944. It is getting cold, and word has it that the Russian army is advancing. I am being taken by train along with many other girls to a city called Breslau, Germany. It's kind of like a transit camp, not at all like Auschwitz. There are no chimneys, no crematoriums, which I am relieved of. I am in another barrack assigned different work. I am now working at a munitions factory, making parts for German planes. The work is very intricate and difficult because I have to assemble screws and bolts together and fit them into other parts. It is not as bad as Auschwitz, but it is still terrible. I work 12 hours a day, 1 day shift a week, and then 1 night shift. I have a German foreman in the factory who takes pity on us. Many times he brings some of us some extra food, which I hide to eat later. I am so excited now. I see 2 of my cousins, Utsi and Feige. We hug and kiss each other. How great it is to see a familiar face. We talk of our families and what has become of them. I tell them about Rachel and how she got sick and how they separated us. I have tears in my eyes, but I am hopeful that I will find her. December 1944. The weather is extremely cold. Days are short, and life here is miserable. There is no end in sight, and my hopes of survival are growing dim. There are about 500 girls here, I am guessing, and at least 100 girls are sick. There is an infirmary here where medical-type people take care of the sick. I wonder why the Germans are taking care of them and not just killing them. I think they need them to get better so that they can go back to work. My friend Ella gets sick and needs some surgery. I am told that the operation went well, but she gets no medicine for pain for infection. I haven't changed my clothes in at least a month, and there is only cold water showers outside, which are are unbearable. I hate the thought of going out in the cold to shower, but I force myself on occasion. I know that if I give up keeping clean, it will be my death sentence. I fear getting lice or any body sores or rashes. Lice are all over the place. One girl said, "It is like a necklace of pearls. The lice are so big." I know it is Christmas time because I overhear the Germans talking about it. I bet they want to be home for Christmas, not here with us. I never really know what day it is, what month it is, but now I do. January 1945. It is so cold and bitter outside. I was just told that we have to leave Breslau in 24 hours. Where am I going? I do not know. The sick girls from the infirmary are placed in a wagon. 4 girls and I are selected to pull the wagon through the heavy snow like we are horses. We do this for 1 hour and then switch off with other girls. The SS guards are whipping us to go faster and faster. We soon leave the city and are going through the countryside. The guard said to the girls in the wagon, "Whoever can walk, get out or you will be shot." I helped my friend Ella, who had the surgery, walk out of the wagon. Those that couldn't walk were shot and left there. Ella was supported by her sister and me, and we continued to walk through the thick snow. I'm relieved that I don't have to pull the wagon any longer. I feel sad that the girls are dead, but I am so relieved. I just don't have the strength to pull that wagon any longer. We are walking day and night in our prison clothing and our wooden shoes. Girls around me are falling to the ground and are shot. It is difficult to walk in these shoes. The snow sticks to my shoes and it is very slippery. I am afraid that I will fall and bring Ella and her sister down with me. Then we will all be shot. I am hungry and cold and icicles are forming on my kerchief. I break them off and eat them. We stand in the bitter cold watching the Germans eat in little cafes and warming themselves and filling their stomachs. I am walking and walking for 3 days and 3 nights. It feels like eternity. We started out as a group of about 500 girls. We arrive at a place called Grossrosen, a tattered group of 50. I am number 50. Arriving at Grossrosen, we are herded into a barn, the 50 of us. There is straw and hay. This must be paradise. The Germans are not bothering us now. Ella and her sister are sleeping next to me. I think I have been sleeping for a year. How good that hay and sleep feel. We are not given any food, but the sleep is so much more important at this time. We are not staying here too long. I am very depressed now. Out of 500 girls, there are only 50 of us left. Those wooden shoes caused many of the girls to fall down. Those wooden shoes caused their death. But was it the wooden shoes? Or is it just the cruelty one person has for another? I am weak and hungry and oh so tired. I hear the Germans talking that we will be moved again, someplace called Mauthausen. Could it be any worse than Auschwitz? Soon the 50 of us became many more. It seems that Grossrosen is a meeting place of some sort. They are going to transport us tomorrow by train to Mauthausen. We are put on the train, and again, the clickety-clack sounds of the train bring back memories of when I was first taken away with my family, how I miss them so. All of a sudden, the train stops. I hear air raid sirens, and the Germans are running for shelter while we are left on the train. The train tracks are bombed, and we aren't going anywhere. I look outside and I discover a root cellar built to store vegetables. It is a very common sight in European farm country. I run with a few other girls, and with our bare hands, we dig through the snow and ground. What a find. I eat 2 potatoes. How good those raw potatoes taste. I decide to fill up my pants and pockets with potatoes and turnips, as many as I can carry to share with my friends. When I got back to the train, after the air raids had stopped and the German guards returned to the train, a woman guard stops me and tells me to empty my pockets. All the potatoes started to fall out. I am whipped and beaten, but the thought of those 2 potatoes I have eaten give me some kind of satisfaction. We wait and wait for another train to come along other tracks, and we were put on the train once again. March 1945. Every day in Mauthausen, I am waiting for my death. Everyone I am with is waiting too. We are all so tired and weary. There is no work for us to do, which scares me because I don't know why I am still alive. I know as long as I work, I still serve a purpose for the Germans. I am sitting here in yet another barrack, just waiting and waiting. There is little to eat here, and after a few weeks of not doing much, I am told that they are moving us again. I wonder why the Germans don't kill us all now. Another train, this time an open cattle car, which takes us to some other place. It is cold and the rain is pounding down on my head and body. There is very little food. I don't know how much more I can take of this. There are about 200 of us in the cattle car. People around me are dying. Those who die are thrown from the train. I am numb to death and dying. I just wonder when it will be my time. We travel for about a week and arrive at a place called Bergen-Belsen. April 1945. Here in Bergen-Belsen, I see the real treachery of what people can do to others. I am taken to a barrack where I am horrified. There were more dead people than those alive. The people that are alive are walking skeletons with a zombie-like expression. As a newcomer, I am assigned to collect the dead bodies from the barracks and pile them up. I pull dead people by their hands, by their feet, by their arms. I drag them out with other girls assigned to this task. We, the living, now had more room to sleep in the barrack. After some time, I am assigned to go into the kitchen with another girl and bring out a huge kettle filled with warm, watery soup. I had to ladle the soup into the other prisoners' bowls. If any was left, the other girl and I were allowed to eat it. I ate the remainders, and soon after, I fell ill with typhus. I am so weak and sick now, I can barely make it to the latrine. Once there, I am so weak from the typhus that I fall in the latrine. I am covered with human waste, and I think this will be my end. A girl sees me and pulls me out. She takes me to a pump with cold water and helps me wash up. I feel my strength is leaving me. My clothing is covered with lice and bugs. I see less and less of the Germans. I think they are afraid of getting sick from us. I can't remember if it was a few days or a few weeks, but one night I went to the latrine and see the sky light up. Whoever is able is screaming and shouting, "We are liberated. We are free." I ask myself, what is liberation? Where are we? Where will I go? Where will I go? I am all alone. May 1945. No food, nothing. I can't walk anymore. No one is rescuing us. Where is the liberation? I am going to die. Lying in the barracks, I am able to view a little of the outside. All of a sudden, I see a truck with a red cross. They speak through a megaphone in German. Whoever can walk or crawl out, come out to us, and we will take you to a hospital. I cannot walk, but I crawl out on my belly. I am put on a stretcher when all of a sudden I hear my brother's voice call to me, "Feige, I just found you, and they are taking you away from me." I look at my brother as I was put in the ambulance. I am being taken to an infirmary that was set up in the camp where I'm being treated with medicine by the English. They are my liberators. I don't know if I dreamed I saw my brother or not because the typhus now infected my brain. I am 79 pounds and could barely walk at the age of 21. I am feeling a little better now, and I searched the infirmaries for my two little brothers who I thought may be alive. I heard from friends that one died and the other one I am not able to find. After a few weeks in the infirmary, the English soldiers arranged for me and some other girls to go to Sweden to recuperate, a displaced persons camp. June through February 1948. Being in Sweden has given me a chance to live again. The girls and I are living in a school building that was converted into an infirmary and kind of dormitory where we rested and gained our strength back. I am wondering what will happen to us once school begins and they need the building back. I am so surprised when I am assigned to live with a Swedish family. 5 girls and I live with an older man and woman whom we call Mama and Papa. How good they are to us. It is summer in Sweden, and I am well enough to work. It is here where I can really show off my ability as a seamstress. I love my job, and my friends and I are dazzled by the kindness of all the Swedish people we meet. The physical pain has left my body, but the emotional pain doesn't seem to go away. I long for my family, and I cannot believe that they are really gone. My friends and I are now strong enough to live on our own. The Swedish government helps us find apartments. We work, we ride bikes, and I even rode on a motorcycle with a Swedish boy. During this time, many relief agencies are trying to reunite family members. Hope is lost for finding my brothers and sisters. However, I do have an aunt living in America. I am excited by the thought of going to America in the future. Meanwhile, I am beginning to enjoy life once again. My friend Etu decides to marry one of the Swedish boys that we met. We are excited for her, but I know I can never marry a Swedish boy, for he is not Jewish. Through all this, I have not forgotten that I am a Jew. February 1948. I am embarking on a long boat ride across a great ocean to a place called America. I remember once going to a Hungarian fortune teller. She told me that I would travel over a big, big ocean, get married, have a family, and be rich. I didn't believe her then, but somehow maybe it will be true. So I'm just going to give you a postscript. My aunt Rachel managed to survive and was liberated by the Russian army and remained in Russia until 1973. My mother did not see her until 1963 when she traveled to the Soviet Union. In 1973, she emigrated to Israel with her husband and 2 children. Her brother Bumi was never found, even after checking the many relief agencies in Sweden and America. Her 2 cousins were alive, and they were living in Israel with their families. Her friend Ella was alive and was living in Israel with her family. My mother just passed away 16 days ago. She was 2 months shy of her 99th birthday, and she was married for 54 years until my father passed away 15 years ago. My mother had 3 children, 11 grandchildren, 32 great-grandchildren, and had the merit to see 3 great-great-grandchildren. So this is dedicated to my mother and to those who have similar but unique stories, and for those who died trying their very best, and may God bless them all. Thank you.
Rita, thank you so much for sharing your mother's testimony. And it's so interesting. Again, this is more of the story that I know, and it was in itself so valuable to hear. But it's also interesting that in light of what Hetty presented to us a few minutes ago, you hear the story differently in some significant ways. There were some connections that just stood out to me as I heard the story. And again, just a couple of quick things to note is that both Hetty's father and Rita's mom spent time, of course, in Auschwitz. The other is that throughout the story, medical professionals played a role both in making things horrible and also in saving lives. And that's really an important point that we had a chance to learn much more about today. So to see it, to hear about the history, the background, and then to see the effect on one particular person, really incredible. So thank you, Rita, once again. I'm going to conclude our program